Hey, how's it going? Pardon me. I have the usual. I'm going to talk and read some cards and probably read some writings. Uh, please look at my signs. So, well, today's been an interesting day. It's just been interesting since before Trump became president. Things just have not been happening the way you would expect them to. And I don't think that... Is that my neck? Oh, that's broken. Anyway, yeah, it's been weird. It's been strange in this. Everyone is taken aback, don't know how to act. It's just unusual. So anyway, pulled some cards, and it was kind of weird because first I pulled 3 from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck, and I was like, wait, that's it? And then I was looking at them and I was like, I mean, okay, but... And then I was like, well, anything else? And wasn't really feeling like the other decks, and I was like, all right, whatever, and I just put them aside. This was yesterday, and then today I got up and I pulled out the same deck and got 3 more, and now I feel now I feel more even, I guess. So anyway, the tariff thing that the new American president has been incessantly talking about and threatening. I don't know, for some reason he's going after Canada. And I can think of a lot of reasons why. I can think that it might not be what I'm thinking, but I'm just going to put it out there. He's always had it in for Justin Trudeau. His wife likes Justin Trudeau. Women like Justin Trudeau. People around the world like Justin Trudeau. Our president is very envious, is what I'm saying. Anyway, so when I pulled the cards, I basically was just kind of... I didn't have a specific question except, like, what is the temperature of us right now? Like, like, what do you think? So, this is the first card I pulled. It's Tidy House. A Tidy House. It's the number 1 card. First priority. And the subtitle is Clarity and Organization. Well, I would say that... what? Hold on. Well, that was very strange. I felt like somebody was pinching right here. Look, okay, if there is someone here doing that, don't, please. I'm trying to talk. So, what I thought when I saw this at first was, well, our house is, like, messy right now. It's a wreck. And, there's 3 houses on here, and I wasn't really sure what it was saying. Like, at first I was like, is it 3 stages that we're going through, or that we need to go through, or 3 sets of people types? But I realized today for the first time that this tree in the foreground, or this house, well, it's both. it has roots. I mean, look at the root structure that's like all through the house. And then you can see that there's like a trunk situation and, you know, I don't know, foliage, I guess. And so, notice that it's covering over all three houses, and that made me think of generations. And the houses are so different, and I mean, I guess I could like scrape together three generations of, I'm thinking of America here, either the U.S. rather, and I mean, there's all these like boomer generation and whatever came after yuppie and I don't know. Now they got letters and things, so I don't know. If you want to label that stuff, go right ahead. It happens so fast. The generations come to be and then go through to the the younger becoming the elder of a whole nother group so fast that it's like, why are we bothering to register this? Why is it such a big deal? Especially now. I don't remember growing up. Well, I guess that's wrong. We just didn't have, I don't remember all these, precise titles for it. But yeah, the hippies, I don't know what they called the older generation. The older generation, I think. They didn't get all categorical about it. Wow, that tried to get mixed up with scatological. What is going on? But yeah, so if I look at it that way, in terms of like older people sort of in that middle zone, and then elderly people, I don't know. Or sorry, like older people to middle age to youth. Actually, this one kind of makes sense to be the youth. Wait, am I pointing the right way? This one. Because it's like, it doesn't really know what it's doing. Does it? Look at how it's situated on the cliff there. And look at all that top-heavy business hanging over. Oh, you just need like one good mudslide, and that seriously not well thought out structure is going to come sliding, looks like it's on a hill, down onto everything else that came before. Isn't that funny? Because not that I would want to see any type of like actual landslide or anything like that. Those are damaging. People get hurt. But it just kind of makes me think of the way that no matter how hard we have tried in this country to have like the American dream like actually be a thing, not everybody has had the same dream for this country. Not everyone is thrilled to see everyone here succeed, which is too bad. But as a result of that and other factors, because of that kind of attitude structure, or just like, I don't know, like just kind of sour outlook on other things that don't like conform to whatever they think should be. People act out in weird ways, and a lot of times it's not just a couple of people. It ends up being like whole groups of people. And I mean, look at the MAGA thing, or MAGA. I don't like to say MAGA because that sounds like a different spelling. But MAGA, it wasn't big. It picked up steam. It picked up more people as it went along. And Trump's a great whip. He can get everybody frothing. So, yeah, it's like looking at like a dark mass or something. Because it's like preaching and preaching and preaching, and none of it's hopeful or happy or positive. Like if it's just so backwards. It's like if things are horrible and people are terrible, people are like, yeah. It's like, ooh, that's gnarly. Oh, I guess I kind of got sidetracked there on some personal thoughts. Anyway, the next card is Lost Compass, and the subtitle is Getting Back to Integrity. I thought that was just so perfect because those people I was just talking about seem to have gotten way off the track of like the American dream, or even just like the dream of being a human, you know, like the image of God. If you know, like a lot of those people are concerned with that kind of thing, but I don't know. There, I guess you could have an image of God from reading all of the violence and weird culty shit that happens in the Bible. I mean, I see people like wanting to embody it, the Bible or the teachings, and then I see like the way they act, and it's like, well, you that's some Old Testament shit right there. Pardon me. Anyway, but like the MAGA people and the evangelicals, like for years, those would be the kind of people that would be against people that had like police records in like jobs of responsibility and authority. You know, like they didn't want drunks. Like if people knew you were drunken, you were repeatedly fired from jobs, which would be on your resume because you were drunk. Or like if your resume didn't align with like what you were seeing and hearing in the world, and yet the people still get the job. Or you know, but look, if you think if President Trump was black, or you don't have to if. They didn't like it when Obama did it. They hated it. But what if he had 34 counts? He would have never gotten in there. I don't really like it when people are all, well, what about, well, if it was blah, 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 like if it was a Democrat instead of the Republican that it is, it's like, what is the point of that? Well, I mean, I understand the frustration, but I mean people with shows, and this is kind of across the board. I mean, I get that it's disappointing, but that kind of going down that track, I don't feel like, what does that help? It's not the comparison. You can make it, but the people that you're talking about that also have a role in it, they don't care about that. They're not going to play along. Like what you think is decent and is right, they don't. In fact, I've been noticing, I think everyone has the hostility like the wealthy have for the poor, and like the MAGA have for everybody else. And I mean, they want to do things that nobody was trying to do this to them. Nobody was trying to like hunt them down, put them in jail, or like deport them when they were natural born citizens, and new crazy shit to go along with the old crazy shit. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely like an eye-opening world right now. Or I mean, I kind of am not even surprised because I've been seeing it coming. I've been saying that Trump was other directed. I haven't said it here much or for a while because nobody was reacting to it as if they heard me, so I stopped saying it. And I don't mean that he was like hypnotized, or well, maybe that's wrong. What I meant when I said other directed is that he's got somebody else directing his actions. There could be brainwashing involved, but I don't think so. I think that he deals with people that are our adversaries. Like it's not a secret, and he likes it. He likes what they do. He wants to do it. He wants to do it here. Look, he's trying to do it right now. So I mean, we people tried to warn everybody else about this guy, and so because I don't know, maybe it's my age, maybe it's just that I have a particular interest in like uh, like espionage and that kind of thing. Like I just feel like really morally against it. But if you can't tell that this dude is just trying to crash and burn this country and just rip out the circuitry, by which I mean the money, by the root out of everywhere that they can, I don't know why. I don't know why you can't see it. But what I also see is a lot of tactics used by other countries, particularly Russia. Sorry, I just said it. I know people hate it. Even people that are on the left are like, nah, it can't be. Well, I'm sorry, but the look back to September and the whole Kamala thing, and then how that didn't happen, and how did that happen? The thing with Biden, like nothing has been happening any way that you would expect it to. There's no normal that you are thinking of and not finding today. Is the reason why is because that ain't normal anymore. What's now? That's normal. I mean, the old normal, forget about it. Seriously, forget about it. Okay, calm down. But I did stop myself to say, like, the hostility, I just don't understand exactly where it's coming from and what it means. Like, everybody else is pretty much serves these other people at their sort of, their happiness is usually the priority in most situations. And since most people without money are doing something that involves something to be done for somebody paying, and there's a lot of contempt now for like the service industry and the poors, just generally. Like, I don't mean you have to be on the street, but like if you're not a multi millionaire or better, you're a scum. It's like, well, damn, I don't think that's the way to treat your scum. Your scum does a lot for you, endures a lot, and like and then like somehow that trickled down, and we got Karens and Chads. It's like, well, what are you so mad about? They're pooping on you too. I'm leading up to something along the same lines, and call me nutty if you want. You won't be the first, but I feel like media reflects us because it's us kind of creating it. And I started to notice an odd thing in like fictional shows about what I call like ladies programming. And the reason why I call it that, and I think the reason why so many of us have an interest in like true crime stories and show networks like Oxygen and SVU, all kinds of stuff that happens to us that is really terrible. And I know it seems weird that so many of us like it, but for me, it's not that I like it so much. It's just like, ooh, okay, watch out for that. Ooh, okay, be aware of that. And you kind of have to in the world. And that's just my perspective. So, and then often a lot of fiction is about that. So I found, in particular, an NBC show that's about a woman that was abducted, who escapes her abductor. She was abducted as a child, and then she grows up and then ends up abducting her abductor. And I thought, oh, that's kind of an interesting concept. Like, I thought it was interesting. But then I was watching it, and I stopped because I realized this feels like they're trying to normalize this stuff. And the reason why it started to bother me is because I feel like more about child trafficking has been bubbling up to the surface. And like, actually, well, it has escaped, like Epstein thing and Diddy thing, or just human trafficking And it's a really just terrible thing to think about, and it's one of those things you don't want to think about, understandably. So in the shows, not found, I don't think it happened in found, but like in the shows with that kind of stuff going on, they took it from the true crime where it's terrifying and horrible and then put it in like an NBC series where it just is softened up or something to like more palatable. And I was like, that ain't cool. I don't like that. But so here's what I started noticing in other shows, fiction shows with serial killers. They'll always show the part where the person is scared and begging for their life and going, I have a child or I have a wife. And I noticed that when it starts and they show the face of the serial killer, they're not really reacting. But the more the person says, it's like they start to get angry and they move toward them. Like you say another word and I'm going to keep creeping up on you and get you. And it's like making them mad. And I don't remember it playing out quite the way it's been that I've been seeing it. It probably doesn't sound like anything different, but I don't know. Like usually in the past, I may have seen that like once. Now it's like all the time that they're like, shut up. Like they'll even say, shut up, stop talking. Like I'm laughing now, but you know, it's like, well, you snatched me and if you haven't already, you're obviously going to do something terrible to me. Of course I'm going to panic and beg. What do you think? Oh, here's the difference. In the past, it was like they liked it. That's right. They're like, oh, yeah, keep on. I'll get stabby the more you say it. And it's the same thing, but the tone changed. And I don't know, it's disturbing. And it's disturbing because I see all that anger and hostility that I was talking about before. I feel like it's got that same energy, and that's illin'. That's illin' so hard. So, now that I got that unpleasantness out of the way, let me continue. The next card I got was the number 30 card, the Horseman, and it's Herald of Change. So, here's something I haven't noticed in the past about this card is this person, like I've always thought like they were going to some wedding thing or something like that. I mean, that's the white dress, and I don't know why I thought that, but the white dress, I guess. But then I was looking at it yesterday and I realized that they're backlit by this golden light, which I just was like, oh, that's like spirity, and it possibly is. But the thing I noticed different was it's coming from up, not out of the number, but coming from this sort of burst of light up here, like a beam, or like a beam shouldn't have like it shouldn't make like a explosion. Like it looks like a something landed is what I'm trying to get out. An object. Excuse me. And so the subtitle on this card is Herald of Change, and I guess what this is telling me is sort of like, okay, whoa, we were going along just kind of like maybe it was like a celebratory day and somebody got married, or like that's like the joy of the picture, I guess, of the person on the horse. But oh shoot, don't tell me I already forgot. Well, the impact is an indication that like striking change is going to happen, like I guess like I was talking about has been happening. So this is Herald of Change, which is coming to like tell you it's coming, I think, like to warn you like Paul Revere style, or what that's wrong. That story they told us is wrong. Anyway, pin that or go look. I don't know what you'll find when you look it up. But anyway, that story is wrong. But someone did go. It just wasn't Paul Revere. It was a woman, so that's probably why you don't know the story that way. Anyway, but this is like apocalyptic change, like impact zone or impact wave is what I was trying to say earlier. Like that, you could, like a small meteorite could have hit right there, and I mean, just at the moment of impact, whatever it's gonna do, perhaps catastrophically, has not taken place, or else maybe she's at the edge of a big giant hole that it made or landed in. Because I'm not getting that she's about to get hit with a wave of debris or lava or something like that, but it's a metaphor. So, like, that's, like, what else can happen, I guess, is what I'm wondering now. Okay, so here's the next card. It's the number 45 card, Repairing the Veil, and the subtitle is Forgiveness. So, now I'm really wondering what else can happen after that catastrophic impact. I don't know. Hey, I don't know. We'll just have to see. But, I mean, this kind of gives me the feeling it ends. Like, whatever is going to happen comes to an end. And, you know, it looks like there's some mending that might need to be done. Like, this is repairing the veil. And veil, to me, is like an aspect of spirit. We definitely interact with it on that level. But do you know, I'm going to sidetrack for a minute here, but do you know why the ETs, like if you are aware of it, interfere with nuclear detonations? I'm like waiting for an answer. Anyway, I guess the reason why is not only because it's bad for us, and obviously it probably isn't great for them if they're here, which many of them are, allegedly. For other people, I just believe it to be the case. You can have an allegedly if you need one. But the reason why another reason why they don't want us doing that is because it doesn't just damage here, where like nuclear zones become too poisonous for us to go into. And anyway, they don't just affect here. They affect like the next dimensions over and around us, or however they're situated, but they get hit by it too. So, dang, that is not neighborly. What are we doing? So, with that sort of thing in mind, not just our veil, but we have a tendency to be kind of reckless, and boy, we sure don't look before we leap a lot. And who knew I was ever gonna grow up and use that statement? Look before you leap. It's like a Ben Franklin-ism or something. A penny saved is a penny earned. Excuse me. I self-medicated a little bit before I got started. It helps with the creeping anxiety. So we do things to each other, and they are hurtful and harmful, and feelings get involved. And if you have any type of like compassion or empathy, you kind of want like, you might feel remorse. It might help you a lot to be forgiven. And probably a lot of people are aware of this now, but I'll just say so for people that are not. It is very healing to be able to forgive something. And here is the example I usually give for this: is the serial killer's victim's mother forgiving the killer, or not serial killer, well, maybe serial killer, but there have been many cases where someone has murdered someone's child, and then the parent, either way, like, it can happen with the mother or the father, although I do think it's more of a female thing that I've seen. But they'll get to a place where there's just no good in it for anyone to not forgive this. Like, the person is gone. The person who's gone might be over their shoulder talking to him, saying, listen, you don't need to hold on to that. I'm gone. I'm not coming back, but it's how it was meant to be. God works in mysterious ways. And I'm okay. Like, you can let it go. And I always feel like there's some level of that going on when people decide to forgive that most heinous of acts, So, but it doesn't always have to be that dramatic, like, I think we are in a spot where we don't have to let it get, like, catastrophic and so far that it, like, detonations are happening. And I don't want to suggest that that's what I was saying, but we can cause that level of pain and hurt to each other. And I guess the reason I mentioned the ET thing and the dimensions is our like, we don't aware that it's the case, that what affects us has implications that ripple outward beyond where we even we don't dream of it, but further than we would even think if we thought about it. I'm making a judgment call. Maybe people do realize it. I don't know. I'm not seeing that. If it's out there, I am unable to recognize it as such. Okay, so the next card is number 13 card, Dream Thief, Refusal of the Call. So that is that is a jumble of, I don't know, like, sort of unease, dis-ease, I was gonna say, like, experiments that shouldn't happen, but you know what? Maybe this is just what it looks like. Maybe that's just exactly how it is. But it's a manifestation of something that we're feeling, I think, because that's what thiefs my dreams is, something nagging at my mind. And it's usually, well, to the best of my knowledge, is something that's happened as a result of something we did, or because of another one of us. And by us, I mean, well, I mean I, for you wear the pronoun, but, it's people, like, there's no, like, Draculas and Frankensteins running around, okay? Like, I'm not saying they don't exist, but, you're not likely to run into them walking down the street. like on broad daylight in a crowd of people. Like they're just not around terrorizing people that way. So I always feel like it's us doing things that we're affected by them. So we're doing things to each other in effect. And at first I was thinking that it was a crystal ball that this being was sitting on, but I'm laughing because the thought I just had was, no, it laid that egg and it's protecting it for everything it's worth. That made me think of something in the piece that I wrote, which how am I doing on time here? I might read it. I don't want to go real long, so I probably won't read it. I'll just say it. I had the thought that we don't empty when we let go. Let me try this again. When we do the letting go process, I just discovered recently that I'm still holding on to a little bit, and it's like, now I got to figure out what it is and why am I still hanging on to something when I'm supposed to be letting go. There's always a little something more, to unravel, to improve upon. So yeah, it's like all of the feelings I feel like that we keep inside that we have not processed that. Okay, so this came into my mind when I was writing, and I was like, really? Okay, but it does kind of convey the point, if nothing else. I thought, like, when you're letting go and you still are holding on to a little something, for one thing, you're going to do that repeatedly, and then you're going to have sort of a buildup of this residue in there. And at that moment, it came into my mind like being unable to fully empty your bladder. Ew, I know, but it is not good for you. Like, they wouldn't be talking about it at the doctor or on the commercials about it if it were not a concern or something that you need to, like, be aware of and work to empty. Because holding a little bit back and it's just sitting there like a bad vintage, and you just adding and adding to this nasty brew, and you're not fully voiding yourself. So that phrase exists for a reason. Like, it's meant to be. Like, it's a thing that you ideally should be doing. And in the case of the bladder, it's involuntary to the best of my knowledge. Like, why would you put yourself through what seems to be an endless cycle of, like, always kind of having to pee, even though you just peed? Like, that would drive me insane. And I'm a lady, and I gotta pee every 5 minutes, problem. So I get it. Like, it's a pain. But you don't want to have stale residue hanging out in any form. I don't think is good. And so for me personally, that is something I realize that I have to deal with. And I always, like, I feel like if I'm doing it, or if I'm having that same issue in either form, probably someone else is too. Like, we kind of are each other's model, if you will. So after the forgiveness and possibly dealing with some of the things that led to the need to repair, like a rift, what led to a rift that needed to be repaired, when we can hopefully get our stuff together. And since things, like I said, are all new, and it's kind of like you can't even really, like, sit down to the table to agree to anything, because so many things are in flux still, but you know, maybe you can. Maybe you feel confident that it's time to, you know, do you feel that, like, you have dealt with your stuff and are ready to, like, get serious, I guess, and firm out some details after some... We have some upheaval coming. I'm pretty sure that's pretty apparent. I don't think that's news to anyone. And I just know that there's so much we don't see coming. Like, even like some of the psychics who have been reliable, like, for years, had moments there in 2024 where they were like, but I saw this and it didn't happen. And pretty much everyone that I watched said that. But, you know, then there's other people I watch that channel spirit, and spirit is like, yeah, we jumped to a new timeline, so switch. Make the switch now. And people are adjusting, you know, that particular group of people. But they have learned, and we have all learned that, you know, you can't really count on stuff because everything's different, you know, like, we got to renegotiate. We got to renegotiate the timeline. But actually, like, that's what's happening now. I think this comes after we've gotten to this point. The last card, the number 2. Isn't that funny? 1 to begin with and 2 to end. So yeah, beloved, and you can see there's a flaming heart there, and God, it looks like it's having an eclipse or something. Is there a planet back there? There seems to be a planetary curvature happening. But anyway, yeah, so the subtitle on Beloved is Radical Obsessance? No, I don't think that's helpful. We don't need more stalkers. Radical acceptance of ourselves. This laying its strange eggs. Yeah, I know I didn't really focus on that. There I go, not wanting to approach it. You know, hey, it's private. Maybe enough said with all of that. But anyway, yes, radical... Why do I want to say it wrong? Radical acceptance. And that sounds maybe like an impasse at this point, like an impossible. But, like I said, things are still very much in flux, you know. I don't know that, you know, things are going to be worked out and settled to everyone's satisfaction for a while. It may be that is part of the new normal, like, oh, surprise around every corner. But, you know, we adjust, we adapt, because that's kind of what we do. I think that's in our programming. It's just another thing for us to accomplish, you know, to achieve. You better be cool. You're going to have cereal all over the floor. You'll be using your toenails on that. Anyway, yeah. And I think it may be radical at first to accept things, but, you know, eventually everything's going to finalize. And I think it's going to be okay. I know it's going to be okay. What else could it be? It's cyclic. Cyclic? It goes in cycles. We have some, you know, not so great times, and then we have some much better ones and some really great ones. And then we have also, like, the other end of the pole. You know how it works if you've lived several decades. Okay. Thank you and good night.